Our home, good old Mother Earth. Such a beautiful planet. Now, this old planet has seen countless disasters over the millenniums, the age of this Earth, and man's just been around here a small time. Modern man, really, with all of our technology, it's just been up for just a little over 100 years now. So that's just a drop in the bucket to the age of this Earth. Now, you take disasters like hurricanes, major earthquakes, global wars, volcanic eruptions. Now this one would put us back in the 1800s because of all these electronic devices in our electrical grid, a solar flare. And really be devastating disaster would be an asteroid. They say this is what killed all the dinosaurs. So that would be the worst. And of course, an economic collapse where our money is useless. You can't buy anything. It was just useless. Any one of these disasters could be devastating to the human race and all life on Earth, as far as that goes. So I'm just going to share with you something that nobody likes to think about, but it is reality. It's not a matter of if, it's just a matter of when. Well, the Bible foretells of such disasters. Some call them the end times, but the Bible calls them tribulations. And it's plumb full of verses pertaining to such disasters to come. Like here's one, Matthew 24, verse 21. For there shall be great tribulations, such as was not seen since the beginning of the world to this time. No, nor shall be. That's one of them. And another one is Luke 21, verse 6. As these things which ye behold, the days will come in which there shall not be left one stone upon another that shall not be thrown down. Now that's just a couple of verses. The Bible is full of this in a chapter of Revelation. But I'm not here to force my beliefs on no one at all. Either you believe or you don't. Well, say you don't believe in the Bible then. You don't believe in no such a thing. Say we have a disaster. Well, the government always seems to do a great job when we have these disasters around the country and even around the world trying to help people. And sometimes, depending on the disaster, it's just a little bit slow, but they do a good job at it. But just say that the disaster that it is a major where they just can't function. No communications, no electricity, no water, no food, no gas, no nothing. Just major chaos. Well, all you've got is you, your family, and maybe your friends and neighbors. But can you survive? So I'm going to go through a list of about 12 skill sets that you need to know or think about in such one of these disasters. So let's get started. First up is the main thing, water. Could you find water? And if you found it, could you purify it if it wasn't pure? And how to get a hold of it. And then, you know the different ways to find water when you can't find it at all nowhere. Where to go, how to look, and how to make it to where you can get water. That's something to think about. Number 2 is food. Now yes, at first everybody has a lot of food stored up, but that won't last long. But later on down in the list, there's different ways to get food. That's something to think about. Always keep a couple of days supply around. Number 3 is shelter. Can you build a temporary shelter if your home was destroyed some reason or another to stay out of the elements and out of the weather? And then could you build another home out of the materials available to you later on? That's something to think about. Number 4, yes, everybody can build a fire with a matches or a lighter, but can you build a fire without either one, matches or a lighter, just by sparking it together with flint, stuff like that? Can you do that? And then, could you cut a tree down? Can you use hand tools, chop up logs and firewood? That's something to think about. And then, could you build a fire pit or even a fireplace in your new home that you had to build? Stuff like that. That's skill sets. And number 5, first aid. Could you do first aid on someone or your family? Could you stop bleeding? Could you set a bone? And could you do CPR on someone? These are skills they need to know everyday living for first aid. And could you find roots and herbs and plants out in the woods that could cure certain sicknesses, like the old people did back in the old days? They knowed every root and herb in these woods and these mountains, and that's a good thing to know. They make books on this. You can find all this stuff in detail if you want to research it. And number 6, can you raise a garden? And if you did, can you can it to preserve it? Of all the vegetables? And canning, can you do the process of canning to preserve your food, to store it up? This is something good to know. This still goes on today in these mountains. Number 7, can you hunt and fish for food? This is a necessity. When you can't grow food and you need some food, can you hunt for it or fish for it? Big game, could you hunt them? You know how to hunt them. Little game, small game they call it. Can you hunt that? Do you have the skill set to hunt them? And then when you do you know what to do with them? Can you fish? Do you know how to fish, different techniques for different kind of fish and how to clean them? And how to clean a deer? Do you know how to clean a deer and what to do with the hide and the parts off of it? Same way with the small game. Can you clean a squirrel or a rabbit? And if you do you know how to prepare it to cook it and how to cook it? This is stuff you need to know, because there won't be nothing in a grocery store for you. And number 8, could you raise your own animals? Chickens, hogs, stuff like that, cattle, if it's available, and butcher it to use it for food, and how to save it and store it. And number 9, can you use work animals, like a team of mules, a team of horses, or a horse or just a mule and stuff like that, or an oxen? Could you work with animals like they did in the old days? Because there wouldn't be no machinery. And number 10, a big one here. Could you defend your family? Do you know how to use a weapon? Do you know how to use a firearm? Could you defend your family and your home and your property? This is a big one. And then if you lived in a community, could you work with others as a team to defend your community and your families? This is a big thing. Number 11, could you barter like they did in the old days? Didn't have no money. So I'll trade you this for this services, or you trade me and I'll trade you back. So that's how they done a lot of stuff back in them days, a handshake and trading. And finally, number 12, could you teach others, especially the young ones, Could you teach them what you know so they could pass it on? This is a big thing. This is this art that's being forgotten. Now, these old people, our grandfathers, elders, they're all about gone now, but they know every bit of this stuff. This was no big surprise, and a lot still does know this, but not many like they used to. This is a dying art that needs to be preserved for future generations. Now, these old mountains here, away from the cities, they can provide everything you need if you know what you're doing, but they can be very dangerous too. Well, there you go. You could just keep going on and on these lists. Like, can you make your own clothes, stuff like that, and it just goes on and on. And what worries me is our grandchildren is the ones that need to be learning these skill sets. A lot of people's passing it on, but a lot's not either. A lot of this is dying arts, and this will come back to pass one day that you'll wish you had this. But no, I don't have all the answers for everything, but any one of these skill sets, you can look them up on the web and go into detail. I just touched the highlights. So I want to thank you for watching. God bless every one of you, and I'll see you next time.